My name is Richard Casper. I'm a Marine Corps veteran, and I teach the course here at the School of the Art Institute of Chicago. This program started basically because after my injuries in war, I didn't know how to deal with myself. I came back, had a brain injury, my best friend was shot and killed. I didn't know myself at that point. Art has helped me by giving me a chance to have a voice again. I used to not be able to leave my house. I couldn't go talk to people. I would physically throw up and get sick. If you could be 0%, that's committing suicide, 100% being the best you can be. After the Marine Corps, after being injured, I was at probably like a 9 or a 10. And after this school, I was back to like 85% me. For people who may struggle like I did and didn't want to break out of the house and be like, I'm not sure if this is going to work, I just want them to know my story and be able to come out here and learn with other combat vets how to do art. And if they're looking for one more way, if they just come out here and give me a chance, it's going to be worth it.
What we were aiming for is to express what we were dealing with, when we were deployed and during our military career, where we literally get out of our element, go on this kind of like alternate reality to go back in time, think about what we went through, and express it to other people.
Just being exposed to different concepts of art, like at the museum and some of the contemporary art we saw, that's what influenced me to try doing a performance piece for my last project.
The opportunity to be at the school was just phenomenal. It was amazing. At lunch, we could go and wander the halls of the museums, and that was pretty awesome.
I think the hardest part was actually talking about what I've been through. It was easy talking to Richard because he is a combat veteran and he has been through stuff I've been through. And
my job was to, go find IEDs or find landmines or anti-personnel landmines and take them apart. And little did I know, I was putting that stuff inside me.
At first, it's a little hard to let yourself become vulnerable. You won't really know what to do right away. It takes a couple days. I know for me, it took a week.
Being surrounded by a bunch of veterans that know what combat feels like, knows the after effects of combat, knows how it feels to come home. It was really comfortable being here.
They're going to come to class like normal college students, treated like normal people that know how to be like, I can be in college, I am a normal person, and I can live like everybody else lives. If even one of them chose to go to college and study art and has that artist brain to where it saved them, it's totally worth it.
Hi everybody, welcome. So today we're going to work on 3 acrylic paintings. So we've done some acrylic pours. These were completed yesterday, and this is part of a continuing geode series that we've been working on. So we're going to do some line work on it. And then I have 2 canvases over here, an 8x10 and 11x14. Hi country, welcome. And we're going to work on those and talk about conveying thought through art, right? So before we start, I kind of wanted to touch a little bit on why I love these geode paintings, right? And I know that, hi Flicker, I know that we've kind of touched on it a little bit before, right? And thank you guys so much for following CreatiVets, by the way. I really appreciate it. The more we can get the word out about this organization, I can't say enough good things about CreatiVets. I brag on them all the time, but I can't stop. So with the Geode series, one of the things that I absolutely love about it is it's very indicative of a geode, okay, in and of itself, is very indicative of how I have felt about my personal journey a lot of times in my life, okay? So this is an amethyst, right? When it's in the ground, you don't see all this. This is what you see, right? And it's rough, and it's scarred, and it's not perfect, right? Is it? And then when you crack it open, there's all this glorious stuff in there, right? It's stunning. And the depth of it is amazing, and all of those colors. I feel like this sometimes. Sometimes I am viewed by only what I look like, or sometimes I am viewed by only what people think they see. And I think we all are, but for those of us that have anxiety, depression, PTSD, any kind of internal struggle going on, I think this is very indicative of us, right? So in painting these, I am thoughtful of that, okay? So what we see in the core of these paintings, and this is the fourth in the series, are the stones themselves, right? And I put the stones into the core of each one because it's the last thing in a geode that you see. What you see are these outer edges, right? That don't tell you a whole lot. And then inside, and this one in particular has been described by people as looking like fire or flames, right? And this is a mood. I have felt this so many times, right? But in the core of this one is this calm. Is that cool white crystal, right? And that's where we're trying to get. In order to get through all of this to get here so that we can have clarity and we can move on, understanding that that process takes more time from here to here than it does from here to here, I think gives us a lot of room to give ourselves a break. So as I've been painting these, that's where my thought process is as I create them. That's the story that is inside of these paintings for me. And I just kind of wanted to share that with you. Because to be honest, whether or not anybody seeing these knows that that's my story, or that that's what I'm conveying, is not half as important as the process for me. The ability for me to process that out and understand myself and what I'm creating better, I think helps me. But more than that, as people get these paintings, or people begin painting themselves, or any kind of art, actually, anything, sketching, anything, understanding that part of your process is yours, and that it can just be yours, means that you can tell your story safely, right? So you can tell that story, and you don't have to release every detail of it to the general public. You don't have to share what you are uncomfortable with sharing, because it's all part of the process, right? We're all in different parts of being able to share, and sometimes we don't even have full recall, right? You can't share your whole story if you can't even recall it all. So processing in this way gives your brain the ability, gives you the ability to tell your story to yourself. And I find great value in that. So doing this series has been wonderful for me. I love the aesthetic, I love how they look, but the parts of my heart that's in them, I really appreciate that. I have great value for that. So I just kind of wanted to touch on that for a little bit. These two canvases here that we're going to work on are both acrylic pours as well. And we're using that acrylic pour just as a base. And then we're going to paint on top of that to convey the image of a thought process. And we'll go over that here in a little bit. Do all you know, all you guys that are here right now, do you know what CreatiVets does? What the organization itself actually does? Or do you guys have any questions about that? Because I'm happy to help answer where I can. Or help talk about what I can, if some of you are new. As we're talking here, I'm just going to start putting in the line work on this geode. We're just going to put in some details. And I want these to be pretty light. I like how this painting already looks. So we're not going to add anything too overt to it. But I do want to add some line work in color that corresponds with what's already here. And some of this you're not going to be able to see unless you are standing right in front of it. Hey, alien, how are you? Welcome. Because it's going to be really subtle. So might be hard for you to see. The light's going to bleed it out. You're not going to be able to see it. You can almost see part of the line right there. Really subtle. It's not going to show up well on camera. But it's there. How are you doing, alien? You come visit me today? Excellent. Alien likes for me to put him to sleep. That's what he's here for. I relax Alien to sleep. Which I'm happy about because it helps. So that's a good thing, right? Whatever works, right? In whatever way I can be of service, I'm happy to be. I don't think that's a bad thing at all. So you guys may notice that behind me on the gallery wall, there's a painting missing. Because somebody, it's not this one. There was an amethyst one right there, a purple one right there. So somebody purchased that today. So it's gonna be adopted and find its forever home, which makes me super happy. And I'm so excited about it. I have so loved making these. So that will get boxed up this evening and shipped out first thing in the morning. It was not. It was not. It was not maybe. Did maybe like the amethyst one too? Was she talking about buying it? She might have been. She likes the reds and yellows though, more than she likes purple. But no, Alien, I don't think that you know the person that purchased it. And for those of you joining us on, yeah, I do really like this one. The amethyst is, I don't know. As I see, here's the problem. So the malachite was my favorite until I made the amethyst. And the amethyst is my favorite until I made this. Like, each one becomes my favorite as I'm doing them. So, you know, I'm kind of biased, I guess. My favorite is the painting of the day. I don't know. I do really like the amethyst. The internal image on that amethyst is so beautiful. And I love the fact that it looks like it has wings. I love that image. So there's things about it that I love. I like the fire and the passion in this one. In the blue one, the lapis lazuli, I love the hidden gold tones in it. The image that, or the idea, you know, like the golden rule or you're golden, or the different ways that we use that word to describe people. I love that it's almost hidden in there, but you look at that painting from the side on the wall, or it catches the light in a certain way, and all of a sudden it's incredibly obvious. It's kind of cool. That is part, by the way, that's a good and a bad thing about doing these types of things on stream, is that the details that I can see, you just can't. And it doesn't matter how good my camera is. It doesn't matter how clear that is. You're just never going to see those details that I see. You can once you see it in person, but it just, I don't know. I do like the lapis. Let me zoom in just a little bit, see if you guys can follow where I'm going with this. What I'm doing right now, these acrylic paint markers that I have, as I've selected the paints for these geodes, I've made sure that I have an acrylic marker that has the exact same paint in it, because I love this tone on tone. So you can see that line, right? So it's really, really subtle because it's the exact same color paint. But I like the definition that it brings to the piece, right? So even from far away, you suddenly get this definition of this line that's going. And I like that. You see how this gets defined over here? So it is subtle. Excuse me, and it is a little bit difficult to see. But I don't really need it to be overt. Because it's more important to me for composition that the lines be there, that there are dividing lines between all of these layers, because I think it helps to support the message in the painting, right? It's not a single path that goes from here to here. It's not easy. You got to go through layers and layers and layers and layers and layers until you get here. And each one of those layers has another barrier added to it, which is part of why when I decided to do this series, why I decided to do it with these acrylic paint markers in addition to regular acrylic paint. One, because literally any one of you can use these. Anybody can do this. This is a perfect jumping off point. If you think that you cannot do art, if you think you can't be an artist, this is a perfect tool to start with. And not all artists paint, right? Some of them write. Some of them sketch. Some of them throw pots. Some of them make jewelry. 1,000 different ways you can tell your story. It's your story. You get to decide how to tell it. So, here's an example. See how defined this brown now comes? Even though you can't really see that line, it's defined here. So on this corner without the line, it's hazy. So as we, oh my goodness, beta cat. So as we define this, even though, like I said, this isn't an overt thing, you instantly get definition. So it separates those areas. But this is yet again another great example of does Mrs. know when to stop? Because I enjoy doing the line work. So you have to make sure as you're looking at it that you've not overtaken this with lines, that they've added to it, but it isn't the only thing you see. You don't want to take away from the idea that this is a geode, right? Or what it represents to you. We're just enhancing that idea. So we don't want so much in here that it just becomes about the line work. Just want to represent the barriers. And then let the rest of the painting speak for itself. If that makes sense. So I think we're going to do this core, and I may wrap this bit up. I don't think I'm going to add too much to this at all. I think it's pretty great the way it is. So in this center right here will be where we have the most line work in this painting. Because I think once you get down to the center, that's where instead of making big leaps, you're making tiny steps of change, right? So we're just going to come through here with white on this silver. I'm not going to add any other color. And we're just going to define the lines that are already in the paint. So we're just following these lines that are already here, right? So this is the line I've just added. These are all layers that are already there in that acrylic paint from the pour. So we did a silver and white tree ring pour on this centerpiece in order to get those lines in there to begin with. And I just want to highlight those a little bit. Not all of them, but some of them. So I know many of you know that I stream on Twitch as MrsOEF5. Some of you know that I have a cat who unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you feel about it, interrupts most of my streams because he's kind of a jerk. And he interrupted this one. And what I didn't realize until this morning when I took this off of the drying rack is that right there, you see that? You can just barely see it. I can feel it, it's textured. That would be Beta's paw print. Those are two of his little toes that touch this painting. So, I don't know if that makes it worth more or less. But it has a paw print in it. So, you know, sometimes you got to go with it. It just is what it is. I know. There's only so much you can do about it. But yeah, there's two of his little toes right there. I saw that this morning and I was like, oh no, there was a bubble in the paint and I didn't notice it, right? And I was like, it couldn't have been. There couldn't have been. This is the thinnest point of the paint, right? The thickest portion that I was really watching for crazing and cracking was right through here, this brown up top. I was like, there's no way. This is so thin you can see canvas through it. There's no possible way that that had bubbles in it. And then it occurred to me what it was. I was like, oh. Oh. It's nice. Thanks, Beta. He put about 6 paw prints across my desk and on my floor last night after he stepped in the paint. But I didn't realize he'd actually touched the painting itself. So it's signed by Beta. All right, so I think we're going to leave it just like that. Hey, the cupcake one? Awesome. Oh no. That is the worst. To get to the end and realize it's like being robbed. There we go. This is Dimensional Magic. It's made by Plaid Company Crafts. It's Mod Podge. I use this with jewelry to add dimension. Like if I'm making a pendant and I place enamel or piece of glass in there, then I'll add this on there, and it kind of bubbles and makes a really glossy, glassy look to it. Hey Dan, how are you? And we are using this to make sure that all of these stones are fully adhered. And I chose this one because it'll make it look like it's very shiny, right? So they'll look like wet stones. It's also 100% clear when it dries. I absolutely know none of them will ever fall off this painting once it's hanging on a wall. But the other side, the other deciding factor for me on using this is that it won't move, so it won't bleed out. It'll stay where I put it because it's so thick. So it gives this a very, very nice effect on the canvas. And I could honestly leave these stones as they are in the paint. They're not really going anywhere. But I don't know 5 years from now if that would be true on somebody's wall. And you never know what's going to happen, right? People move. Things happen in their lives. I use all kinds of Mod Podge. Very warm, yeah. Yeah, that's sad, country. That's sad. And then the whole thing will get a coat of Mod Podge on top of that. Matte Mod Podge. Once this all dries, then we can clear coat the entire thing, which makes it easier for people to dust. And it helps with the acrylic paint to stay true color even if sun is hitting it. So these paintings will stay very bright, vibrant for much longer. It doesn't make them waterproof, but it does definitely help. So I'm going to set this back here and let that Dimensional Magic seal up a little bit. We'll see if underneath this fan it can dry enough to be able to Mod Podge it before we get done with this stream. I'm not sure if we'll be able to or not, but we can try. So this is one of the other canvases that I was talking about that we're going to modify. So on a piece of graph paper, I drew this silhouette of a face. Not really, not real sciencey. I just sketched out this face and then cut it out with a pair of scissors. In order to be able to have the same face on multiple canvases, right? So I'm just taking a regular old pencil. We're going to go right along this line. And then we're going to do the same thing on this canvas. So this canvas here was poured with the intention of doing a swipe, okay? So regular acrylic pour painting, we put all the paint on the canvas, moved it around a little bit, overflowed this side in white. And it is very nice as it stands. I think it would go this way, right? It almost looks like lava coming up from the ground or something of that nature. But as I was looking at it while we were doing it, this was, for the 100th time, another practice in don't do too much, right? Know when to stop. Frollo painting. So we were going to do another white overpour, take a damp paper towel and then pull all of that paint over here. The paint having a silicone additive in it so that it would create big cells on the top and then break apart, and then you would see all of this coming up through the bottom from the white. But I decided to stop, and I talked about a painting I had done in the past that I had used this. I created this stencil for. And so I laid this over the top of the wet painting to look at it. And I immediately loved it, right? This is what this painting should be. So today, as I was preparing for this stream, I debated which way this face should go on here. Moved it around on the canvas, flipped it around the other way. Thought about putting it over on this side, painting that side white for balance from the other. But what kept going through my head as I was doing it was the name of this painting should be Dreams of Fall. Because that is exactly what she looks like to me. Like, that is exactly what this looks like to me. So, we're going to get some white paint. And pick out a brush that's probably 3 sizes too small for what I'm doing, because that's how I like to paint, with tiny, tiny brushes. Nice. I just hit that paintbrush and got water everywhere. Good thing this isn't a watercolor, or that would have been awful. Can't do this without getting messy. It's impossible. I shouldn't be able to paint without putting something over the top of this desk. I'm just determined to do damage. All right, so I'm going to go right along this line. With some watered down paint. Just to make sure we've got the line of her face right. Now, normally I would be concerned about the exterior of this line while drawing a face like this. In this case, we're concerned about this side of the line. I want that interior line to be nice and defined. Can you guys hear anything in the background coming from my mic? You hear any background noise at all? Okay, good. Because what I hear is my husband snoring very loudly from one story away. So, really hoping you all can't hear that right now. Because I'm tempted to get up and shut my door to make sure you can't. That's good. So for those of you on YouTube and Facebook, my husband is where my name comes from. Operation Enduring Freedom 5 is what OEF5 stands for. He on Twitch is OEF5. I am Mrs. OEF5. And he is a disabled veteran. He was deployed with the 5th rotation of troops during Operation Enduring Freedom 5. Normally, he sleeps with a CPAP because he has sleep apnea. But right now, he's fallen asleep on the couch, so he's just snoring to no end. It would probably embarrass him if that was being broadcast on stream. But he's pretty exhausted. We've not been sleeping well. He is Mr. Yes, he is Mr. He even denied it on Twitter the other day. Cracked me up. So you can start to see her taking shape. Going to take quite a few layers here to whiten this up. But we've got some pretty bold colors here, so that's not surprising. I had painted the first one that I did of these. It was absolutely almost shocking to me to see how much this simple modification changed the feeling of the painting. It seriously makes it into an entirely new work. It changes it so rapidly. One of the many things I like about this particular art form is, thanks Kyle, is how much a single choice can change the outcome of everything. I mean, so many times, you know, we overthink a small choice and jump into a big one. And I think that even when you're caught by the idea that you can't make a choice, you're trapped, right? I can't make a choice. I can't do something different. The act of doing this and actively making these choices proves that to be not true, right? Because with a single choice, I changed everything about this painting. It doesn't say the same thing when you see it anymore. And I really love that. How have you been, Kyle? I feel like I've been kind of out of the loop a little bit. CreatiVets has been super busy. Got all kinds of amazing stuff going on. They have music coming out that just is incredible. Yeah, right? So many good things. So, did you have, when does the actual, because you have an album dropping at some point, right? Because I know that the songs are out. You guys can watch them on YouTube, by the way. There's a CreatiVets playlist. If you go to creativets.org and click the link for music, you can find it. It's all good work. Yep. That's all right. That's not a bad place to be in. We may let her set up for just a minute and come trace this one out before we put some more paint on her. It is available. Okay. Yeah, it's really cool. I listened to the song Stories over and over again. It's just incredible. It is definitely my favorite. Awesome. Oh, that's very cool. So, can I play it on the channel while I'm painting? Like, can I play it in the black in the background without worrying about DMCA? Since CreatiVets dropped the album and these are CreatiVets streams, can we do that? Okay. I'll get that set up to roll next week then. I have to change some things around on OBS to do that. But I'll get it set up so that as I'm streaming, that's playing in the background for us each week. Because that'd be nice. I'd really like to share that with people anyway, because it's just amazing. Yeah, let me do that. I know it won't impact Twitch, it'd probably impact YouTube. But we can figure out something. I should probably reach out to him anyway about fixing that here on Twitch. Because I'm pretty sure I can help in that area. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's nice anyway. I like having music with the art streams. It's just very relaxing for people, I think. But yeah, more exposure I think would be great if we could move that across to all your channels. Definitely. So as I was debating on where to start painting this face on this one, I moved it over to this side of the painting, and because her nose came right here where this is at, it literally looked like an ad for nasal decongestion. I was like, yeah, that's not going to work. This does not convey the message I want to convey at all. Because it's right here and everything's leading up to it. I was like, wow. It's like a sinus ad. This is not the story I want to tell. We're not talking about my sinuses. So I decided that it looked better on this side of the painting. I mean, I guess we could have told a story about my sinuses, but I'd rather not. This almost has a skeletal feel to it. And it almost looks like this is coming from her eye. It's very cerebral, isn't it? It looks like what she sees immediately is being translated to her thoughts, to her brain. All right. I'll let that dry before I put more paint on it. Red is always the hardest color to paint over. I've seen a couple of people do paintings similar to this, where they've actually taped off part of the canvas before they did a pour, and then peeled it up and revealed the face. And while I realize this is a simpler technique, it doesn't give you opportunity to personalize it, for one. And I don't like the hard definition of the dry paint and no paint. But as we were making this painting, we did not start out with the intention of doing this with her. She just became as the painting happened. Which, with me anyway, happens more frequently or not than not. As I'm creating something, it molds and shapes itself into something else organically. But like we've talked about so many times before, you know, when you make 1,000 choices, things change, right? You can make 1,000 choices, 10,000 choices in a painting. Every brush stroke, right? Oh, I'm glad you're feeling better, Dan. What'd you do? How'd you fix it? Excuse me. Pressed my spine against the banister and pushed off the wall opposite until I heard a crack. Oh my goodness. You know, I can twist at the waist and pop every vertebrae in my spine. And I do believe it is probably the one thing that my husband likes the least about me because he can't do it. Right? I do it about once a day. Yeah, he can't do it, so it makes him mad. Because it's instant relief for me. Doesn't solve all the problems, but it is instant release of pressure, I guess, more than anything. But it definitely reduces the pain in my back. I have sciatic nerve damage. So like sitting in this chair, for instance, gets uncomfortable pretty rapidly. And part of what I unconsciously do to alleviate that pain is I tense the muscles up my spine until I can feel it all the way in my neck. But usually by that point, you know, both my legs have gone to sleep and it's too late. I mean, they're not really asleep. They're tingling, stabbing pains, all that kind of business. But part of my issue, I suppose, could be solved, you know, with a better chair. Since now, because I work remote and I do this in the evenings right after work, you know, I'm in this chair, well, back and forth anyway, not nonstop, but anywhere from 12 to 16 hours a day. So we're going to have to bite the bullet and invest in a better chair for me, I think. curvature of the spine. Oh. OEF has scoliosis. So the small of his back, instead of curving in, curves this way, which causes him a lot of pain. But he's got military injuries that affect him more than that. But yeah, I can understand how painful that can be. I mentored a little girl that had to have her spine, she had to have surgery on her spine. We were dedicated blood donors for her. And they put 16 rods and 30, I don't remember the number, 16 rods, 32 pins maybe, 36 pins in her spine to get it to be more straight, but she was completely humped over by the time they did it. She was 13. Yeah, it was the top of her back that curved further out, but it was very extreme. Like, it was to the point that she was having trouble walking. I don't know how bad yours is. But yeah, they put all of that in her. It was there for just about a year and a half before she had the second surgery, and they removed it. Extremely painful. She went through a lot. Yeah. Yeah, she went through a lot of pain with those surgeries. It was very hard. But it affects everything in your life, right? It affects your mood, affects your mobility, affects, I mean, your spine affects everything. Your sleep, your food intake, everything. He is snoring so loud. I can't believe you guys can't hear him. I'm tempted to walk down there, but I don't want to embarrass him about it. Oh my goodness. Did you ever have to have surgery? Or did you just opt out? Medication approach. You know what's interesting to me? At this point in my life, I probably know as many disabled people as I do people without disabilities. It slowed your brain down. And I have to say, those of us who've been through a real trial in life, who've been through something that is absolutely life-altering and out of our control, I feel very bonded to those kinds of people. Not just because I know not just because I know so many of them, but because I think it makes you very real about things. You know what I mean? Like, some things just become much smaller when you're facing issues that large. So you don't get caught up in all of these little tiny things because you lost the luxury to be caught up in those little tiny things when you're worrying about things that are much larger in your life. And it's ironic to me because I have known some older people in my younger years who would never even have a conversation with somebody who was disabled, right? Because there was a stigma. And it just makes me like, how much did you miss out on in your life that you didn't know some of these amazing people? You know what I mean? Like, that kind of stuff always just makes me wonder. But I think people with inherent bias miss out on a lot anyway. As just a personal opinion. They're starting to shape up. What do you think? Starting to get clearer. I love some of these details in this. Look. All those layers of color. But she's starting to shake shape. Oh, look, a beta hair in my painting. I swear, cat doesn't even have to be up here. There's beta hair everywhere in my house. About what you want to do when you leave school. As far as like a career coach kind of thing? Okay. Yeah, like here we have regular universities, and then we have like technical schools, technical educations, or you just go straight to McDonald's. Would you like to just find a job right now? No. Seriously? Right. Because you're physically disabled, you must be mentally disabled as well. Oh. I'm sorry that happened. People can be so ignorant. A lot of times that ignorance, I think, comes with an overvalue of their own selves, right? They believe their inherent value is so much greater. It bothers me. You never know who that's going to impact or how greatly. I mean, I'm sure if that were done to you, you're probably not the only one. If that's that person's job and they're out seeing kids on a regular basis, or seeing students, I should say, not kids, but that's sad. I don't blame her. I may have reacted the same way. Well, some of them are, right? Some of them are not great. Well, what do we think? I'm still not happy with that line of her forehead. It isn't that the line is wrong, it's that this dark paint is making this particular line right here look more square than I want it. It's a little better. Right? That's a little better. Yeah, there's this white line that comes through. See it? Same thing with the nose. There's white right there on the tip. I had the option to move it even farther back, but I didn't think that this would impact our line definition. And I certainly didn't think the darkest part of this painting would impact it. But I definitely like it. I like this one too. It's really cool. Same paints. Two different techniques on how we did the acrylic pours. Same technique on this overlay. And how different these two paintings look. She really looks almost skeletal to me with this red and gold line of thought going through her head, right? And this one, on the other hand, definitely dreams of fall, memories of fall. But she looks like there may be some passion and anger and pain and light and hope. There's a whole lot going on in here, right? Looks like a juicy peach. I can see the darkness across her face that belies all this light down here, all this hope, right? Anger, right in the front, first thing you see. Yeah, I like them. I like how they're coming along. You know, it's interesting too because orange is absolutely my least favorite color. The only reason I own orange glasses is because I bought them in a 2-pack with a blue pair that I absolutely love. And of course, I lost them because I wore them all the time. So now I'm stuck with the orange ones. And they'll never be lost because they're hideous. And ugly glasses stay with you forever. Had I known that rule to begin with, I would have just bought myself ugly glasses 20 years ago and not spent so much money through the year. But I did not know that was a rule. I learned that rule the hard way. Excuse me. Right? These are just reading glasses. So I have a hard time, my eyes get tired. Like, I don't wear glasses. I don't have a prescription. Is that the right word for glasses? Is it a prescription? Yeah, they're prescriptions. Ugly tortoiseshell ones. I'd prefer that over these orange ones. Because I have perfect 20/20 vision. However, I used to have 5 degrees better vision. I had better than normal vision. And it's progressively degraded to 20/20, which, you know, our eye doctor thinks is fabulous. And you can't give somebody glasses if they see 20/20. But towards the ends of the days, like after I've worked 8 or 9 hours, my eyes get tired. So when I'm doing detail work like this, I can't see as well. So the eye doctor told me to just buy reading glasses because my eyes are both exactly the same and I don't need glasses. So I'm like, well, I may not need glasses, but I can't see to do what I want to do. Particularly making jewelry is difficult at the end of the day. So while streaming, I have on these lights, right? I have lighting that makes it even worse. It makes it much harder for me to see the details. So I wear these now more for streaming than I do any other time in my life. But normally I'm also streaming after I've worked, you know, an 8 or 9 hour day. So my eyes are already tired. I legit could not remember if glasses had its own word. I was like, is it really prescription? Magazines or subscriptions? Medications prescriptions or glasses prescriptions? Is that... Like my brain was really trying to process that for a second. I was like, I don't think you can get a subscription for glasses. Well, maybe you can. Maybe you can, because you can get like contacts sent in the mail, right? I've seen ads for that. So that'd be a subscription. It comes every month, right? Is that still considered a prescription if it's delivered every month? A subscription for your prescription or prescription for contact lenses? I think you can. Hey Alexa, order me contacts. Yeah, exactly. when he first started streaming, OEF tried contacts because of the glare from the monitors and stuff on his glasses. He didn't like it. He can't stand them. He couldn't wear them. They irritated his eyes so bad. Like his eyes were just bright red. It was awful. Your eyes are so you're like Stewie? From Family Guy? No, that's his whole head. His whole head's shaped like a football, not just his eyes. Hey Arnold, yeah, that's another one. Well, at least you're being compared to someone famous, right? I don't like her nose either. They all were. That whole time frame of shows is weird. Definitely. All right. Let's set her over there to dry. Okay. I was hoping to let these dry enough that we could get a clear coat on them. But I'm pretty sure we're going to have to wait for that. put one more little finishing touches on this girl here. And we'll see how our dimensional magic is doing on that geode, and if it's dried enough to be, if it's clear, so like if the surface is actually tacky but not 100% dry, because it pretty much has to cure overnight, then we'll be able to put a clear coat on that painting real quick before we get done here. Which would be great, because then tomorrow morning I can hang it in that hole right there. Right there. And then we'll get some pictures of it and get it up in the store. More beta hair. That cat doesn't even have to be present. It's killing me. There we go. I think she looks pretty good. Where could that hole come from? Somebody bought the amethyst painting. As a matter of fact, sitting right behind that chair, there's a box. You see that box? That's where that amethyst painting is right now. It's all getting ready to go bye-bye tomorrow. Let me get this set over here. Maybe move that water so I don't spill that a second time. Boy, I don't know. It's pretty close. Is it going to be Beta Cat? So if you look real close here, you can see where this dimensional magic is. See how it's starting to clear up, but it's still cloudy there in the center of the stones? So if I attempt to do a clear coat on this, if I hit that with my brush, it'll leave marks. So you won't have that nice smooth glass surface. It'll be marred, and wherever it's marred, it'll look opaque instead of clear, and we don't want that. So I have to be patient and let it dry. Oh, he would love that. And then we're going to get this bad boy clear coated. So that he can have that down in his studio, since he's told me that we're not selling it, that he's keeping it. I like it though. I think it turned out pretty good. I definitely like the black and white of all the options that we went through for Cap. I like the black and white the best. But I was hoping we'd be able to, yeah, that's not gonna be ready. I was hoping that'd be ready for a clear coat today, but it's not going to happen. Yeah, I really don't think this needs anything else. I don't think it needs any line work or anything. I think it's great just the way it is. I really like this painting. I love that it looks fiery. I think that's pretty cool. All right. So I think we're going to wrap it up, guys. I think we're done. So next Thursday, we're going to work on our garnet geode. And I'm going to see if, depending on how much time we have, depending on how much time we have, we might see if we can't finish the garnet and then pour the last geode, acrylic pour. So we have some other projects that we need to get to. So we may do that. So thank you guys for hanging out with me here at CreatiVets Live. I appreciate it. Thank you, YouTube. Thank you, Facebook. Thank you, Twitch. And I will see you guys soon. If I don't see you here next Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern, then you can definitely catch me around Twitch. I am MrsOEF5. And I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. So stay safe, and we'll see you soon.
We are a nonprofit that is helping combat disabled veterans heal through the arts and music. Our art programs in Chicago and California help combat disabled veterans tell their story through art. We enroll them into the best art institutes in the country. We pay for their tuition, their housing, their food all 3 weeks so that they can finally tell their story through art. We also bring combat disabled veterans to Nashville, to places and rooms like this here at the Grand Ole Opry, to tell their story for the first time with pro songwriters all about the things that they went through that they've never been able to talk about before. These programs have been extremely successful in helping veterans combat their PTSD. Right now, CreatiVets has more veterans applying for our programs than we do funding. So if you can go to creativets.org and donate, we would appreciate it.